For your next art project, you're going to be working on a painting, but you get to decide what the subject matter is. There's a few choices that you can pick for your subject matter. So if you look right here, it says subject. You can either pick a text with like a design or a picture, an artist reproduction, or you can combine images or work directly from one image. In your painting, you are going to need to show space, depth, and distance. You're going to be showing this by having some area that has a background within your painting, or it might even be within the whole painting. You're going to need to add details that are tiny at the top, less detailed, and in some cases possibly overlapped with something else where it looks like they're behind something else. And then you're going to need some other details that are in the foreground. They're big, they're at the bottom, they're detailed. Sometimes they might even be cropped going off of the edge of the page. Some other requirements as you get to the actual painting part, you're going to need to have value changes from tints to shades. That means a tint is a color plus white, a shade is a color plus black. You will also need to work with a color scheme. You're working with one of the color schemes that we've already discussed. And you're also going to need to do some color mixing. Now, as far as for coming up with an idea, there are lots of different ways that you can generate an idea, and this is my idea generator. You can play and explore materials, think about life experiences, different kinds of music might inspire you. You could use your top 10 lists or create a new web to come up with some ideas. You might use something that you've written in the past. You might research looking on Google or Pinterest or books, looking at other images. You might use TV or movies as an example. You might look at language or images. You might observe something, so maybe setting something in front of you, drawing it, and then using that to work from for your painting. Those are just a few ways that you can come up with your ideas. I want to show you a few pictures here. This is an artist's work, so I could pick this artwork and then I would need to work in a color scheme. So I could work directly from this picture, but I need to change it up. Most likely the easiest way to change it up would be the color scheme. I could work with text and images. Now, this one, I don't want to see the exact same thing, but you might work with an image that you find online, or maybe you're finding a quote online and then you're adding to it. This one does not work because it does not show me foreground and background, so I would need to add or change something to include a foreground and background. If you're picking text and image or text and design, you need to think about what do the words look like. Think about a font, or are they in cursive? Are they printed? How are they looking on the page? You might choose to work monochromatic and then adding black and white with just one color, but you can start to see how you can use a scene to work from. You might actually work from a photograph, one that you've taken or one that you find online. Here you can see the excavator's in the foreground, mountains are in the background. Here's another picture that I found online. The truck is in the foreground and you have some mountains in the background again, but you would need to add some more detail into that background. You might even combine more than one picture together. Again, working with a color scheme. This one does not have a color scheme, but you can start to see some of the different parts you might need. So if I'm interested in the beach, I might look up pictures of the beach. Maybe I'm adding words within an image. Maybe I'm adding words above an image. Now, does each one of these fit our exact requirements? No, but I'm showing you them to give you some ideas, starting places that you can go. I want to also show you some stuff online. So I had started to take a look at Google, and this is an artist that I learned about through another teacher of ours. Her name is Stacy Swider, and she is an artist that is currently working. She lives in Georgia, and if I start to look up images under Google, I'm finding some images of her work. I'm also finding some images of her, and then maybe I find an image that I like. I particularly like this one, and I can work from that image to do my drawing. I may need to add some things into the foreground or background to make sure I hit those requirements, and then I would also need to work with a color scheme once we go into the painting part. You could pick an artist who is no longer living. So for example, if I look up Van Gogh and I look up paintings, you'll see some of his paintings starting to come up. I can look at images. I can find an image of a painting that I like of his, and I could work directly from this image, again changing so that I am working in a color scheme. And again, I need to add something into the background because I do see the flowers in the foreground in order to hit our requirements. As you're working, you are going to need to think, and again, you are going to need to work with one of those three areas. Let me go back. You're going to need to work with either a text and a design, or text and image, an artist reproduction, or combining images or working from one direct image. You will need to come up with four different sketches for this project.